Parliament. We do know that the body lies in state again today for Kenyans to be given that opportunity to go and view the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. And of course, we do know that the numbers have been soaring. Yesterday, it's recorded that almost or just about 100,000 people were able to view the body of the late president. Today is the third and the last day. But of course, it's going to be unique by virtue of the fact that it's a working day. And as a result, we are not sure how many people are going to go, but this is of course an opportunity for all Kenyans to mark their page in history by viewing the body of the second president, the late Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. For now, we'd like to cross over to Lee Funeral Home, where that procession is going to start anytime now, and we're joined by Jeff Kirui, who is on standby there to fill us in on what's happening. Jeff, we do know that the body is supposed to have arrived in Parliament by 8 and is expected to leave Lee Funeral Home. What is happening so far, Jeff?
Well, very good morning indeed, Mike. This is the Silver Springs roundabout along Agwix Kodek, the junction between Agwix Kodek and Valley Road. And this is the far as we can go. And of course, at the far end, that is, of course, the convoy getting ready to leave here. Yesterday, the convoy left here at exactly 7 in the morning. And of course, we're expecting today as well that the convoy will be leaving that place at 7, maybe in the next 10 minutes. And here, traffic actually has been diverted. All the vehicles coming from Hurlingham towards town, they've been diverted to use the Haile Selassie Road. And Valley Road has actually been cordoned off. It has been closed, and police officers are actually taking control here. And anytime from now, we are expecting the convoy to leave here. From here, they'll be making the convoy will be making its way to Valley Road, from Valley Road to Kenyatta Avenue, and then from Kenyatta Avenue to Uhuru Highway, and then from Uhuru Highway just before the Haile Selassie Avenue, there will be that left turn towards Harambe Avenue, and then now to Parliament Road. But as it stands now, Michael, is that traffic here has been, of course, closed, and the road is now clear for the convoy to make it. So remember, as at yesterday, this is the last day for Kenyans to view the body of the late retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. On Saturday, that was the first day they were all viewing. The number which was recorded of Kenyans was actually 24,800. And yesterday, the number actually went up to approximately 100,000. Of course, we'll be waiting to see how the number will look like today. So many people actually did not get a chance yesterday to view the body by virtue that the viewing exercise ended at exactly 4:30. And today, it's expected also that it will end at that time. But remember, at Parliament Building, there will be a session where the members of Parliament will be seeking to adjourn. There will be a special sitting today for members of Parliament seeking to adjourn. Remember, the Parliament was expected to resume on Tuesday, the 11th, but as a result of the death of the retired president, they will be seeking to have that special sitting, the two houses, National Assembly as well as the Senate. Of course, the National Assembly will be mourning together with Rongai Member of Parliament Raymond Moi, and the Senate will be mourning with Senator Gideon Moi, Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, of course, the KANU chairman. And of course, right now, you see there is a motion, there is something happening outside the Lee Funeral Home. Of course, that is the police, a Land Cruiser making its way out there. And anytime from now, we are expecting that convoy to leave the Lee Funeral Home. And from what we've observed from Tuesday, when that the viewing exercise and the convoy left for Parliament, there are a total of 10 outriders, and from that convoy there are 3 at the front, and then now there are 5 which are surrounding the vehicle which is carrying the remains of the late retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. And at the back there are, of course, 2 other outriders following the convoy. And as it stands, those officers who are actually conducting the ceremony, they are from the military police, and they are sitting away from the body, from that carriage which is carrying the remains of the retired president. 3, they are sitting outside, or rather facing the opposite direction when transporting the remains of the retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Mike.
Jeff Kirui there, who is reporting live from the Lee Funeral Home, where the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi is expected to be moving anytime now. 7 o'clock is the time to watch on the clock for it to leave Lee Funeral Home. It's expected to be ready for viewing at 8 o'clock at the Parliament grounds, where we have seen Chris Dairo and Zubeida Kananu are on standby, waiting for that to happen. Now, just as a note to Kenyans, this is an opportunity for you to go and view the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. And today is the last day that he lays in state. We do know that over 24,000 people managed to view this body on Saturday. Yesterday, the numbers soared to over 100,000. And of course, Kenyans, coming out in drones and huge numbers to ensure that they make a mark in history. What is expected is that tomorrow is going to be the funeral service that's going to be taking place at the Nyayo National Stadium. And we do know that the president himself, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, has taken this upon himself. And yesterday he drove himself to the grounds just to make an assessment and see what is going to be happening and, how far the plans have gone. We do know that the PS, also for Interior Security, Mr. Kibicho, has also been hands-on ensuring that they see what's happening. But we'd like to take a look at the roads. Expect a little bit an unusual traffic this morning, especially given that today is a normal working day. As you can see, Valley Road is completely clear. It has been kept clear of any vehicles. I guess if one is walking, then you're pretty much able to go through. But if you're driving, Valley Road is one of the roads that you most certainly will avoid this morning, possibly till after 8 when the body has already gone through. Let's also take a look at Kenyatta Avenue, which is another very busy road, especially on a working day like today being a Monday. And we can see there there's traffic but on one way, and we do know that traffic is going to be cleared and kept that way. So expect unusual traffic, particularly if you're driving into the Central Business District. It would be advisable that you avoid that route, which is from Valley Road all the way, from Lee Funeral Home going down Valley Road. Let's look at Silver Springs Roundabout, where we also know that it's going to be part of where the procession is going to go. That's that road that goes down to to Nairobi Hospital, which of course has been kept clear. And at 7 o'clock, which is in another 5 minutes or so, we expect that something is going to be shifting. The body is going to have been removed and prepared to leave the Lee Funeral Home and possibly make its way towards the Parliament, where it's going to lay in state for Kenyans to be able to view. What is happening in the CBD right now? Would like to just show you and give you live images, and we see Kenyans already prepared and ready to begin viewing the body. We're not sure what time they arrived there, but as you can see, the numbers are already quite huge numbers of Kenyans who are preparing to view the body this morning, today being the last day that it's going to be laying in state. Between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. So if you're planning to make your way there, please ensure that you're there between 8 a.m. and 4:30, because 4:30 on the dot, then viewing stops. And I'm sure that it might be difficult for everybody to view, so the earlier the better. Part of the advice also given, if you're going to be viewing the body, is to go very, very light as you can. Make sure that you do not have too much baggage and things to carry, because then they're going to be an inconvenience and you may not be allowed to go in with them. So come as light as you possibly can, so that you'll be able to go through without necessarily leaving too much of things or being stopped. And those are live images you're seeing from the Central Business District as Kenyans prepare themselves to see the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. We'd like now to look at outside Parliament building, where 8 o'clock is the time to check out, and we're soon going to be seeing what's happening. Those are live images from, that is just near Parliament, and we're going to shortly see whether we have people who are prepared to view the body, of course, who are outside there. Lee Funeral Home, we can see that there is some activity, and I am reminded of one particular advert that used to say something to the effect that punctuality is the mark of a disciplined officer. And then they would ask the question, are you one? And this, of course, being a military operation, then we expect that they're going to be operating like clockwork, literally, doing this as per the minute. To the minute rather. And 7 o'clock is when we expect the body is going to begin moving from Lee Funeral Home. As you can see, there's some activity there. We have police cars that are parked outside Lee Funeral Home. We have other security, vehicles that are ensuring that the road is clear and that there is going to be no hitches, no stops once the body begins to move from Lee Funeral Home and on its way to Parliament. The route that has been used so far, that being Saturday and Sunday, is leaving Lee Funeral Home and going down Valley Road, then proceeding right to the Parliament building. And that's expected to be the route this morning. So if that is your route to work, then it would be advisable that you find alternatives or expect delays, particularly from now to 8 o'clock, where we're expecting that there is going to be snag and a little bit of traffic, given that there is no traffic allowed on that particular route. And we do know that that's literally the artery that leads to the central business district. Now, the images that you're seeing right now are images of the central business district. And this is the CBD, where we have Kenyans who have come bright and early to pay homage and to ensure that they put their mark in history to have viewed the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, the second president of this great republic, who was president for 24 years. And in 2002, of course, handing over the reins of power at a time where it was not expected for leaders in Africa to do that. So he has remained in the pages of history as one of the presidents that have done that. Now we can see a vehicle moving, the police vehicle, which I believe would be the one that's going to be leading the procession, and the particular carriage that's going to be carrying the casket of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Today is day 3, where it's going to be laying in state, and also the last day where we expect Kenyans to come out in huge numbers. We've already seen that on the CBD we have quite a number of Kenyans who are already out to view the body. So if you are planning to do that, then it would be advisable that you do that bright and early. Remember that this is only going to be open till around 4:30 p.m., where the body will have to be prepared and taken back to the Lee Funeral Home in preparation for the memorial service that's going to be taking place at the Nyayo National Stadium tomorrow morning, where we have seen even in today's dailies that there has been preparations that have been in place. The PS for Interior Security, Kibicho, is a part of the leading team that's ensuring that preparations are done and that the grounds are ready before the funeral service, memorial service that's going to be taking place tomorrow at the Nyayo National Stadium. And then on Wednesday, we have the final journey of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, which is going to be happening in Kabarak. And it is expected that it's going to be, they're expecting to host more than 30,000 individuals from all over the world that are going to be attending this particular funeral. We do know that some heads of states have confirmed their attendance, former heads of states and current former heads of states, starting with our neighboring country right here in Uganda. We're expecting the presence of the president, the current president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the president of Uganda. We're also expecting the likes of President Salva Kiir from South Sudan. We have former presidents like Benjamin Mkapa. That's the third president, former president of Tanzania. The third president of Tanzania, Jakaya Kikwete, the fourth president of Tanzania, is also expected to attend. We do know that Kenya has a very close ties with England, and it is also expected an unnamed, we do not have a name yet, but a representative representative of the Queen of England will also be in attendance of the funeral tomorrow. So those are the the funeral, which is going to be taking place on Wednesday, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is the memorial service, which is going to be at Nyayo National Stadium. The images you see now are from the Central Business District, and these are Kenyans who have thronged the grounds to ensure that they get a glimpse of the second president of this great republic as he lies in state in Parliament today. That is expected to happen from 8 o'clock all the way to 4:30 p.m. So if you are planning to view the body of the late president, then you need to be making your way there. But it has been done very smoothly, and watching and judging from yesterday, the queues were moving pretty smoothly and quite fast. And the procession has begun. That is at Lee Funeral Home. As you can see, there is a police vehicle there, and we also have the outriders who are going to escort this particular procession all the way to Parliament. They've already had a chance to do this on Saturday and yesterday, today being the third day that the body is going to be lying in state in Parliament. And today is the last day as well. So if you are planning to do this, you need to do this today between 8 o'clock and 4:30 p.m. We're not quite sure how it's going to play out today, given that today is a normal working day. The public holiday that we've been given as Kenyans to attend the funeral or memorial service is tomorrow. It has been declared a day that is going to be a national holiday. So what we see right there is the outriders who are escorting the carriage that is now carrying the casket of the late president, the second president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, as he is taken to Parliament building, where he's going to be laying in state for the third and last day for all and sundry to be able to view the body. We do know that they started off on Saturday with the president of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, his wife, Margaret Kenyatta, viewing the body. And of course, we had members of the cabinet also viewing the body on Saturday. Leaders of this country, governors, did that on Saturday. Yesterday, we had Kenyans also going so. And as we can see there, we can see the carriage being carried right there and the proceeding to Parliament building. We're going to be joining Chris Thairo and Zubeida Kananu, who are on standby in Parliament to give us more updates. But for now, that is the carriage as it proceeds. It's going to be going down Valley Road and over to Parliament. right, and our focus this morning is on Parliament building as the body of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi is expected there anytime now. We do know that they've already left the Lee funeral home, headed to Parliament. As we can see, it is kept clear as, of course, this is going to be the third day, then the last day for the late president to lie in state, where Kenyans are given an opportunity to view the body of the late president. This, of course, is going to be the last day that this is going to happen. And tomorrow we have the memorial service that's going to be taking place at Nyayo National Stadium, and the funeral on Wednesday in Kabarak. And joining me this morning, just to introduce the guests that we have this morning, we are joined by Canon Ambrose Weda, who is a lawyer. We're also joined by Honorable Joe Tambo, a former member of Parliament. And gentlemen, welcome to the studio, of course, as we continue to focus on this week where we have a special coverage right here on KTN News. And this is, of course, following the death of the second president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Let me start with you, Weda, as we see the procession now heading towards Parliament, on what you remember of the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi.
Thank you so much. I think I remember President Moi took power when I was in class 3. I remember hearing his voice on the radio, and that voice kept in my mind for many years. Akasema mimi Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi na hapa ya kwamba. And for a long time, I knew the old oath, and even when he started his speech, as I had just promised in the oath of the presidency, I was then in class 3, and I think 6 months later, the president was going to Vihiga, and he passed through Maseno where I was, and I saw him. He was wearing a pink T-shirt, and we were eager, and we loved to see him. He came out tall and gigantic, and it was a very pleasant sight. He left power in 2002, when I had been through university, been married, had children, and was working. There are many good things to remember about him, but first we must say that there is nobody who is perfect. God himself says, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and there's no truth in us. So that if anybody is looking for perfection, saying, oh, Moi should have been perfect, he should also remember that if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves.
We'll be lying.
So there could have been mistakes. There were mistakes. But if overall you look at it, I remember President Moi, look at as a mentor. As a mentor, look at the country. Everybody who is who in this country, he mentored them. Just like the late Jaramogi also had the people he mentored. If you look at schools in our country, schools and institutions, he has put us in the map in the whole of Africa. He loved education. And in fact, he loved education more than the most highly educated people. And his level of generosity, he was a kind of president, if you heard he was coming, or if you are called to State House, you know that if you met him, your basic problems would be resolved. He will not give you a lot of Kiswahili or English. And people would jump over walls to visit State House. I think it's only President Kibaki who came in and came in with a dose of stinginess. But
the former president, of course, he was very well known for being generous. Honorable Tambo,
yes.
Your memories of this great man, President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi.
Actually, I have a lot of memories about Moi, because it's a person I have personally interacted with. One, being a politician. Two, when he was the president, and when he retired. This is a person I've sat with him the way I've been sitting with Ambrose. And I remember first time when we had business discussion, that is when I was to be a youth wing in Malindi, 1992, when he visited us and he was giving us a word of advice on how to conduct election. It was the first multi-party election then. and I was the chair of the youth in Malindi, 1992 then. And what he told us is that we are going for a different election this time. That was the first word I heard from him, talking about the unity and peace of this country. He told us that as youth, what you need to do is that we depend on you to maintain the calmness. There should be no violence in this election, because if we experience an election, these people would go back and say, you know, the election was rigged, blah, 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 all those kind of things. So those words still remain in my mind. And I also remember again when I visited him to invite him to my house to come and officially open my house in Ukambani. And the guy accepted. He was so humble to say, okay, I will come. I was taken there by Bishop Iego, a good friend of mine. And besides that, it's someone I've interacted in many occasions. It's somebody I've sat and we...
So it's somebody you interacted
yes,
on a
yes,
one-on-one basis.
yeah,
And maybe just to focus on what's happening there, we can see that the body is just about to arrive in Parliament, where it seems this is working, with precision. 8 o'clock is when they're going to be opening up the viewing to the public. But of course, there are preparations that need to be done before that is done. So 7 o'clock on the dot, they left Lee Funeral Home. We see that particular entourage arriving at Parliament. This is where the body is going to be lying in state for the third and last day. And Kenyans have the opportunity to come and view the body. Huge numbers have already been witnessed, with over 24,000 viewing the body on Saturday. And then yesterday, it was recorded over 100,000 Kenyans were there to view the body. This, of course, being a moment in history being written. We see the body now being driven into Parliament, where Kenyans are going to be doing that. Again, just a reminder, if you're going to be viewing the body, you need to do that before 4:30, when they're going to close the doors. And also, you're advised to travel, or rather to go there as light as you can. Do not carry too many things, because then you either may be left without your things and would have to be scrambling to find where they are once they're left, or you may not be allowed to go in with them. So go as light as you possibly can, carry as little as you possibly can, and that will give you easier access to view the body. Ambrose Weda, you've talked about, what you remember when the president was coming in, and maybe just to look at it from a revolution kind of view, from as he was taking over. There he was, as president. He had been vice president, but even as vice president, he had been a very, I'd call maybe the word would be submissive, vice president to the president. He was, there was not much, antagonism between him and the president, but here he was now as president. Not many people had expected him even to take over as president, but here he was now.
I think President Moi, having grown up as an orphan and growing up as a child under the auspices of the church, he was, I would not say submissive, he was patient. He knew the difference between authority and power, and titles and class. He knew that this is the president, and he's in charge of everything.
He knew his place as vice president.
He knew his place. The others didn't know. The others came in and they were in a hurry, and the way you can help me to get something, then now you want me to recognize you. But he knew this is His Excellency President Kenyatta, and he was able to sit in that seat, I think, for over 11 years, a seat that 2 other previous occupants could not sit, because according to them, I heard, there were frustrations, there were all sorts of things. But he sat, he braved it all, even those who disregarded him, even those who did not respect him. And even when he came to power, he came in quietly, easily. He was like, I'm going, I can go anytime. Anytime you want me to leave, I'm ready, you people. Don't worry. And then people went to sleep. And he started also fairly well. He said, I will follow the footsteps of President Kenyatta. So those who were thinking was going to be a pushover said, hey, the man has said he'll follow. So if you knew how Kenyatta was leading us, then you should know. So slowly, it consolidated power. I remember hearing that now Anaenda is being president bila kupingwa, and people pledging loyalty. Some people think who had mistreated him very badly, who are running all the way to Ethiopia. If you read this book of Kenyatta succession. There was a police commissioner who was running to Ethiopia, others were scattering, but he didn't come in with revenge. I recall he tried even to rehabilitate the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. He brought him back, made him chairman of a cotton marketing land board. Then Jaramogi, I think, again, lack of patience, tried to attack Kenyatta. Said, oh, these people, Kenyatta was a land grab. But then Moi said, sasa hii vita, sitaki kuingia. So he went on and consolidated power until there was an attempt at some coup in this country that now he flexed his muscle. But if you look at it, he consolidated it in such a way that we ended up being one of the few countries in Africa, maybe Kenya and Tanzania, and just a few that never had military governments take over.
Right.
And it was the president always to sit on the edge to ensure this does not happen, because it was the order of the day. You wake up, so-and-so has been overthrown. You wake up, so all this was because of patience, and I think a deep-seated wisdom which people ignored, which people didn't see. We always just saw him as a hard boy and whatever. Other people tried to do games. But he shepherded them out very quietly. He shepherded out Njonjo very quietly, very easily as a friend. But you're out. You wake up, uko inje.
He knew how to do things very diplomatically and without necessarily raising too much temperatures. Maybe coming to you, Honorable Mtambo, you remember him as the chairman of, and especially this is at a time where there was multi-party coming into play. How, right now, with hindsight, we may think that for him to allow multi-partyism was something very easy, but that may not have been the case, because this was new, and also it was something that possibly would have brought appraisal should it had not been handled well.
Yeah, and it's actually, I would say, something to learn from. You know, the agitators of the Constitution then, what they mentioned is that they are going to repeal Section 2A, then the change of that section, Moi will not vie again. But he outmastered them. He never even shouted when they were thinking that after we change this, then they will say, once you have served 2 terms, you cannot serve again. But he came quietly, like Ambrose is saying, and he told them, you know what? Yeah, what are we talking about here? We are talking about serving 2 terms. Yeah, you want to remind you, and there's other constitution, not this one. On this one, I'm squarely in. And all the guys, all the lawyers were running across trying to see whether there's anywhere they can fix him. But he told them, no. You know, everyone, the one says everyone is free. And that one including me. So likewise, I'm telling people that when you are making laws, you should be also very careful. You may target somebody and that law comes back to hit you very hard. So guys were gotten, they were gotten off guard. I can remember discussing this matter with a very good friend of mine by the name Badawi. He was the member of parliament of Malindi then. And what people were thinking is that people are jostling around that Moi will not be there, so we can take power, it is hers. But he came in and he told them, no, this is not the case. KANU is going nowhere. And KANU is going to vie, and I'm the chairman of the KANU. I'm in charge of KANU, and I'm allowed by the law, and it happened. So those are some of the things which we should learn as we move forward. Because right now, there are so many things happening in our country whereby people think that they will amend constitution to suit them, but at the end of the day, they come and find themselves in the pit, they dug themselves. Current situation is what happened during 2010 Constitution, when people were saying that once you lose, go home. Unfortunately, those who were fighting for the same Constitution are the ones who lost, and they are the ones who are at home. And today things are happening the way they are happening. So Moi is a man to remember. He has a lot of rich advice which he gave to people, and one of them which has kept this country united is the word peace, love, and unity.
Right.
Something which philosophy. We used, that philosophy, that we used to sing even in school, peace, love, and unity. And had we continued with that, maybe this country could be more better than the way it is today, than where we are today, because it is like we have lost that. We don't talk about peace anymore. We don't talk about peace, love, and unity anymore. We just say we want to maintain peace. But Moi made sure that this is a song each and every person must sing. it is thanks to you. So if I'm meeting with Ambrose, the first thing I talk to him is about peace, love, and unity. So I will have no time to fight with him. But all the same, I would say it's a disaster for Kenya, because I know so many people alleging Moi did so many things, whether bad or good. But if you find yourself in such a situation, it is those who drove themselves to that side of the law. And the law, by then, it was like that. You remember the law allowed that there was detention without a trial. And it is not only Moi who made that law alone. So there are so many other